What are some of the common things that people might come to you that they're having a challenge?
Do you have clients that come to me that just want to improve their eating habits?
What's the most rewarding part for you about that all?
All of it.
What is it meant by food as medicine?
Food as medicine is basically fueling your body and optimize your nutritional status from food to help you feel better.
Welcome to the Best of White Rock, where we sit down with the standout business owners, community leaders, and entrepreneurs shaping life here in White Rock and South Surrey for the better. These are their stories behind the people driving real change in our community. Hosted by me, Darren German of the German Group. There is so many questions that I am looking forward to unpacking with you, Julia, because you are in an industry that everyone is so fascinated with. They want everything going on in that brain of yours, and they want to know how you can help them. And there's so many cool ways that you can do that. So we're going to unpack all of that today. We're going to get into how you're helping people, and you've got some really neat stories, even how you got involved in the industry. And we're going to do it all. We're going to cover it all. So before we get into any of that, let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Julia. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm based here in White Rock. And I primarily work with people with gut and skin issues, specifically eczema, kind of two ways to pronounce it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this since 2020 when I started my private practice. And prior to that, I worked actually at Peace Arch Hospital as a clinical dietitian. So I did that for a year and then went into my private practice in 2021 was when I went full time. And yeah, I'm here to, help people with mostly helping people understand their symptoms. Because a lot of times, we have these like bloating and eczema and skin issues, and people don't really understand where that comes from. So as a dietitian, I try to help people figure out their root causes and then use like a proper nutrition plan and looking at their lifestyle to help them feel better.
And there must be so much to unpack in that simple statement that you made. There's a lot to unpack there.
It's a little long.
There's a lot, and that's a big world to get into what we feed our bodies and what we put into our bodies and the outcomes that come out of that. So we're gonna get into all that. Before we do, you've got a really fascinating story about how you got led down this road to doing this as something that you love to do and helping people and as a registered dietitian. Are you able to share that story?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. So this whole practice started because of my own personal journey. I was born with really bad eczema. Actually, the moment my mom told me, she was like, the moment you were born, you were red. Like your body was just red with rashes. And so I couldn't tolerate at that time when I was a baby, I couldn't tolerate my mom's breast milk. So I was actually formula fed at a very young age. Um, and growing up, my eczema would always come and go. Like it would, flare up in different parts of my body, mostly in, the folds behind my knees. And going to the doctor, the number one prescription for treating eczema is topical steroids.
Okay.
So I was using topical steroids for a very long period of my life. And at that time, I had no idea that nutrition, gut health, how your nervous system can play a role in skin rashes. So, I just applied the creams. And in 2015, which was over 10 years ago, I made the decision to go the natural route and try to see if there's another way to manage my eczema without needing to rely on medications because I realized the topical steroids I was using for so many years stopped working. So I would apply the steroids and my rashes would still spread, in fact, get worse. So then in 2015, I decided to stop the steroid and then went through something called topical steroid withdrawal, which is sort of like a whole other thing on its own. 'Cause
Sure.
it's basically withdrawal from topical steroids after you used it for a long period of time. And then I went through this whole journey of topical steroid withdrawal and then trying to heal my eczema. And that took many years, I would say, to fully recover from TSW. TSW is topical steroid withdrawal. Um, and yeah, that's kind of led me to today because led me to like why I'm so passionate with helping people with skin issues because of my own journey and everything that kind of happened in my personal health. And I was able to see such a amazing change from healing my body through the right nutrition and making changes to my lifestyle.
That's so fascinating. And what is it, do you think that, well, actually, and congratulations for figuring that out, number one, because, and this kind of leads into my question is, we seem to live in this culture where the first instinct is to use drugs, right? Or I don't know if topical creams would be considered drugs. I guess
Yeah.
they would be.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Because, obviously your whole business revolves around helping people feel good from the inside out rather than the outside in, right? Which is like Western medicine.
Mhm.
Why do you think we gravitate towards things like, in your example, this topical cream that's heavy in steroids and something that you had withdraw that you went out or that you went through to just even get off it? Why not just start with what seems to be the right answer and and keep great people like you employed because of the knowledge you have? Why do you think it starts that way?
That's such a good question. And honestly, I think there's two parts to it. I think number one, we want instant gratification and we want things to heal and recover fast.
Right.
So when you take topical steroids, when you take medications, it's going to make your symptoms like improve, right, in a short period of time. You put on a steroid, it's an anti-inflammatory, it'll make your eczema go away for, a short period of time. But of course, it doesn't get to the root cause, right? Because those are just band-aid solutions. But, going the natural route or trying to heal your body inside out, it's not an easy journey. You're not using medications, right? So you're relying on your own body's systems and the gut microbiome, and you have to know how to regulate your nervous system, and that takes time. So, if people want results fast and it's a hard journey when you're dealing with symptoms, then I think that's one of the reasons why, the other option is to go to the faster route, right? Which is to take medications.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. The instant gratification piece of it, you want to see results now. We live in a world where, take this course and you'll be a millionaire in a week sort of thing. And we want that instant gratification. So I guess that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned that the topical steroids kind of had stopped working and whatnot. Before that point, had you ever experienced for yourself the idea that it could be the nutrition that you were putting in your body, the food that you're putting in your body, that could be a culprit to what was even causing the problem, or what ended up being maybe the solution to fixing it?
Yeah, so at that time when my eczema was getting really bad, it was actually during my university years. And that was when I was studying to become a dietitian. So it kind
Oh,
of happened at the same time. Like my
interesting.
eczema was really bad, and then I was studying to become a dietitian, which was really stressful
Yeah.
to get into the program. So obviously, what I was learning in school, I was like, oh, okay, there must be a connection between my diet and my skin. Even though in the courses, like we weren't taught like exactly, about eczema, but things started to click for me. And then I started seeing a naturopath in 2015, and that's when I started to really learn about everything, like the microbiome. And even 10 years ago, there's not as much information and science compared to now, right? With
Right.
the microbiome. So that's kind of where it all started, like me being in school to become a dietitian, and then I was kind of doing my own research and working with other like practitioners at that time to help me figure out what was going on.
Well, it's so neat because you're the one who had this challenge, and you're also the one that helped yourself overcome it. And then it's, well, who better to get advice from somebody that's actually been there before and struggled with problems. And it's not just limited to eczema. You come to see a dietitian for a variety of reasons, which we'll get into. But it's just neat that you were able to fix a challenge that you had for yourself through something that you've been taught, and something now that you share with the world, and there's this great outcome that's come out of it. So you're it's called the hero's journey in storytelling, right? Like you've come from the bad place and got to the good place, and you're the victorious one. What has that done to your practice as you started engaging, and not started because you've been doing this for a long time now, but when you started engaging with people? Does your background, how does that lend to you helping people when they come to you with a challenge?
Yeah. So you know what? Sometimes I forget about my own journey
Mhm.
because it was so long ago. But what I've noticed, I guess, with just talking to people, and I have people can book a call, like a free consult with me, and I can kind of see where they're at. they often say, "Oh, I'm really inspired by your journey and you going through eczema and going through topical steroid withdrawal, and that's why, I feel drawn to you because I can resonate with your journey." And then whenever they share that, I'm like, "Oh, I forget that I went through that." But yeah, does that answer your question as to?
It does. Well, it makes you relatable because we look at a professional in any sense, and they look like they got it all figured out and everything's been easy and that sort of thing. And to know that you're human and that you've had struggles just like everybody else, it makes you relatable. It makes people encouraged to be able to reach out to you, and it probably really helps them or helps you help them because they know that they can trust the information you're giving them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
essentially, I hope so.
yeah,
And I still have eczema, like, it comes and goes, it's not something that's curable, so, I'm even though I'm, like, the hero's journey, like, I've definitely recovered, and my eczema is not as bad as what it was 10 years ago. You probably wouldn't be able to recognize me. But I'm still, working on my own health and trying to keep my skin under control if I'm under stress or things like that, so I do my best to,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the bigger world of being a dietitian and how you really help people. So, what are some of the common things that people might come to you that they're having a challenge with? And maybe it's not always having a challenge. Maybe it's just trying to be better. But what are some of those things that you see?
Yeah, so dietitians can like for example, like my niche is eczema, but I do have clients that come to me that just want to improve their eating habits. Maybe they have really busy lifestyles. They don't know how to include certain meals or healthy meals into their diet. So I do get those sort of clients that just want general support when it comes to their diet and lifestyle. I do have clients that don't necessarily have eczema, but they have gut issues. So bloating is a very common symptom
Okay.
that people have and think that it's normal, but it's really not. So, working on the microbiome, working on uh, lifestyle factors and nutrition changes to help people with gut issues is also part of um, why people reach out to me. And then, of course, weight loss is a big one as well. So people who want to lose weight, I also get a couple of those clients too.
Okay. And so when someone comes to you for like let's say weight loss as an example, how do you go about identifying where they're at and where they're hoping to go? So, like the easy answer is they want to lose weight, but there's something that's causing them to be in the certain weight that they are. There's habits that are there. That's maybe the types of foods they're eating. So, what does that process look like for if not them, somebody that comes in to seek your services?
Yeah. So all of the new clients that worked with me, there's always an intake form that they fill out. So that intake form is just for me to really understand, their goals. What's your current weight? What's the weight loss goal that you want or you're looking for? And then with the free consult that I offer all of them, we're talking about like, okay, what would that look like for your journey? Is it realistic when it comes to weight loss? So
Yeah, 400 pounds in 6 months. Let's go.
yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
So, that's why I find that, like, really hopping on the call with people to, meet them, and understand kind of where they're at with their goals is really helpful for me to understand, okay, what would that journey look like for them?
Right. Okay. So when you meet people, there is so many there's so many like nutrition fads. And I'm sure this is probably your favorite thing to talk about. There's so many, right? Let's break the internet here today because they're I don't know, it could be and maybe they're not fads. I mean, I'm interested to hear whether it's keto or fasting or let's juice cleanse or
Carnivore diet. Yeah.
carnivore diet. Yeah. So what do you
Yeah.
what do you see in that realm? And I love your thoughts on it to begin with.
Yeah, so there is definitely a lot of noise in the nutrition
That's
world.
a great way of explaining it.
It's overwhelming.
Right.
It's really overwhelming, and, everyone is a health coach, everyone is a nutritionist nowadays, and yeah, it's just a lot of information. Whether the information is helpful, I mean, I think it really depends on how it's being marketed, right?
Mhm.
Um, but how I generally see it, because I do get a lot of questions like, hey, Julia, does the keto diet work? Hey, Julia, do I need to do this elimination diet to help with my skin? Should I cut my calories to 1,000 a day for my weight loss, right? So, This is why personalized nutrition is really important, because each and every individual is very, very different. Like, you're different from me, I'm different from someone else, right? Genetics, lifestyle, stress, your own medical history, all of that plays a role in whether or not a diet's going to work for you. Which is why a keto diet might work really well for someone, but work really terribly for someone else, right?
Yeah,
So,
I love that you said overwhelming, because before we sat down and started recording, we were talking about like social media, and your space must be just filled with people giving advice, or even like some of those quick fixes we talked about, that instant gratification. You drink, I don't know, lemon water, and you're gonna shed 15 pounds before the weekend, or whatever that might be. And when people are seeking those quick fixes, um, getting that personalized nutrition plan, that seems like that would just be such an important piece of the puzzle, is to really, everyone's different. Everyone has different story, different challenges, different problems, that sort of thing. And this is where, on that individual consultation, that you would sit down with people and see what is maybe causing them to have issue number one, or what their goal is, wherever they want to go. But what do we need to do in between to really seek that out?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a food is medicine. It's such a neat idea, and I believe it to be true, and I know you believe it to be true. But
Mhm.
for anybody watching, can you explain what is it meant by food is medicine?
Yeah. So everything that we put in our bodies is important, right? Your diet, what you eat, the foods that you include, uh, your nutrition. So food as medicine is basically fueling your body and optimize your nutritional status from food to help you feel better. And feel better can be, different for everyone else. Some
Right.
some people can feel better with their skin, right? Because food does impact your skin. Some people feel better with their energy levels. If they're eating more vegetables and they're having more nutritious foods in their diet, they're going to have better energy levels, right? So it's such a critical part to just your microbiome, your health, and your overall wellness, right? So
Yeah.
um, this is why, what I've seen is people sometimes forget that and they jump straight to a supplement. Like, I'm going to take the supplement to help with my health, but the foundation is really your diet and your lifestyle, right?
Yeah, and leading into my next question is like, what do you see that most people get wrong when they enter this world of wanting to improve a situation or feel better, whatever their goal might be? What's one of the number one things you see that people just completely flat out get wrong, or is a misconception?
I would say there's a few actually. Um, so I see people who focus a little bit too much on food, where they're kind of like, um, how do I say this? Like, they're restricting their diet because they think diet's the only reason why they're experiencing symptoms. So that there's that spectrum of people that kind of like over focus on their diet. And then there's other people obviously that, don't focus too much on their diet and they're taking a lot of supplements, for
Hmm.
example. So it's really about finding that balance, because you need both, right? More so the diet piece. The supplement's always supplementary. So if we
Right.
need it, then we recommend it. But if you don't, then we want to focus on other things that are more important.
Yeah. And what about if you could shed light on one thing you wish you could climb to the mountaintop and make everyone know about what a dietitian can do to improve someone's life? What would you share?
I love this question. So, funny thing is, when people think of the word dietitian, they're like, oh, we just talk about diet and we tell you what to eat.
Well, that's a great point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and
Absolutely
we
right.
we absolutely do, right? We love talking about food, and we're not the food police, first of all. People always think, "Oh, like you probably eat like salad all day." I'm like, "No, I actually like my pizza."
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, like Friday night, you're watching a movie and you're about to reach into the bowl of chips, and they see you out in the bushes there again. Like,
That too.
yeah, right, yeah,
I was actually at a event a couple weeks ago, and I was the one going for the pizza, and then they knew I was a dietitian. They're like, "Oh, you're like, you shouldn't be eating that." And it's funny, right? Because it's like, yeah, like I guess the the title dietitian is, we talk about diet. But
yeah,
sorry, to answer your question, um, diet's a huge component with with health and helping our clients. But what's more important that we've seen is actually the lifestyle and the accountability that we provide to our clients. And sometimes that will just look like, I don't know, a client had a really stressful day at work or something, and they're, feeling very overwhelmed, and they don't know how to, have more structure in their meal planning or in their diet. So as a dietitian, we're not necessarily talking about, what food you should be eating, but more so, okay, how can we help you to organize yourself a little bit better so it's not so overwhelming to include, healthy eating into your lifestyle.
Do a lot of people have a challenge when they have to make these changes? Is it a big shakeup for them? Is it really, not the word inconvenience is not what I'm looking for, but you have to make changes to see improvements or change, right? What's people's sort of normal journey for something like that?
I would say the people who just have no time to make their meals, that would be their challenge.
Right.
So, again, this goes back to personalized nutrition. It's like, okay, I'm trying to meet the client where they are. What is realistic for them? Because as a dietitian, I can recommend all the great foods. This is what you should eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But if they're so busy and overwhelmed, they don't have time, right? So, we're figuring out ways to help incorporate healthy eating into their diet without feeling like they can't do it, right?
Yeah, oh, that's such a good answer. I love that you help describe to what a dietitian is, because you're right. Like you think of this word and you just make assumptions right away. But even just really understanding what you can help people with and the way that you can help them feel better in their own bodies and come out from whatever challenge maybe they're having. And the idea that food is medicine is such a beautiful thing, because we're so quick to want to go get that instant gratification that you talked about. And you're doing such a great service for the people that you serve. When they come in and visit you and you get to watch their journey, what's the most rewarding part for you about that all?
All of it. It's so amazing to see people's lives change for a lot of people. I've had clients who literally can't even get out of bed because their skin is just in so much pain, to sending me a nice message being like, "Hey, Julia, I'm getting married this month." Like, that's amazing. Their lives change from not getting out of bed to living their best life, or, whatever that looks like for them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really rewarding for sure as a dietitian to see that transformation.
That's so beautiful. Well, how do people find you if they want to get in touch? What's the best way to start the journey and explore and see what you might be able to do to help them? What's the best way to get started?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Instagram, and then I have my own website. So if people want to learn more about my services, then they can check out my website to learn more.
That's great. Well, we're lucky to have had you on the show. You got such a neat story, and what you're doing for the people you're helping. I can only imagine the smiles that come out after they go through their journey and are able to come out on the other side of that. So I want to really thank you for being on the Best of White Rock, and I definitely implore everybody to reach out and see what they can learn from you in their own health journey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Good time.